2 o'clock, so we're going to get started here. Thank you so much for joining. We are water, and today we're talking about community water connections in the Four Corners region. Just wanted to let you know this webinar will be recorded. However, the only people who will have microphone and video access are the panelists. So you guys get to just sit back and relax. But we do ask that if you have any questions or comments, please let us know in the chat. As you are talking in the chat box, I'll say this reminder a couple of times, but please select your messages go to all panelists and attendees, not just all panelists. That way everyone can see your messages and it's not just us. A couple of other housekeeping items. So if you want to access your chat or access the Q&A function, you need to find your toolbar. So that will either be at the top or the bottom of your Zoom window. And if at any point things that you see are too small and you want to zoom in, you have control of that. You are able to click into the Zoom window and click on some screens and click and drag them to make them bigger or smaller if you need any assistance with that. So with that, we are going to get started. So we are so happy to have you guys joining us today. My name is Claire Ratcliffe-Adams. I am an education coordinator at the Space Science Institute here in Boulder, where we are on Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute land. And what we do here at the Space Science Institute is we work with public libraries and we try to get really awesome and accessible and free STEM and STEAM educational resources to your library. So I'm joined here today by Patty Montano, Brigitte Rongstad, and Anna Gold. They are all with the CIRES Education and Outreach Program at CU Boulder up here in Colorado. So for today's agenda, we're going to start with a really quick icebreaker just to get you guys used to using some of the functions on Zoom. We'll do a very quick overview of the We Are Water project. That is where we're all from. We're all working on that project as a team, creating resources for you to use in the Four Corners region. And we'll talk a little bit about World Water Day, what's coming up in March, and how you can be involved with your patrons. We'll have a few quick water activity demonstrations, and then we'll move on to resources that you can share directly with your patrons. These are all free, and you'll have a chance at the end of the program through a survey to sign up for any of the free resources that you would like to receive. We'll be talking about a Be a Water Detective take-home kit, a virtual book club about water in the Southwest, and how to receive a free We Are Water coloring and activity book. We'll end with what's coming up next with We Are Water, and if you want to stay involved and be updated on what's coming, how to sign up for a newsletter, and we'll end with a discussion and Q&A. So my icebreaker for you all today is a poll question. So the question is, what is most interesting to you about water in the Four Corners region? So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll so you can directly click in. But the answers are unique adaptations of plants and animals, summer thunderstorms, rivers and canyons, cryptobiotic soil, or cultural connections. So feel free to click on any of those that you find interesting about water in the Four Corners region, or feel free to drop another answer that might not be included on this list in the chat. So I'll give you guys about 15 seconds to make your selections. Once again, I just want to remind those of you who are joining, if you are putting something in the chat, please make sure your chats are to all panelists and attendees. The default is just to the panelists, and while we love to hear your responses, we want to make sure everyone can see them. So you can do that in a little drop down right above where you type. There's a selection. You can choose all panelists and attendees. So I'll give you guys about 3 more seconds. All right, and looking good. So here, I'll share the results. It looks like the most popular choice there was rivers and canyons. That's absolutely one of my favorite things about the Four Corners region, just the winding canyons. Now you can really see how water has shaped and carved that landscape. But we have a lot of other answers as well. Water in the Four Corners region is just such a magical topic. So thank you all for participating in the icebreaker. And now we will move on. I'm going to turn it over now to Patty to talk a little bit about what this project is.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to meet you today on this webinar. So my name is Patty Montano, and I am the manager for We Are Water. And I'm joined here, as Claire said, by my colleagues Brigida and Anna Gold, also on We Are Water. So We Are Water partners with libraries and provides learning resources for communities across the Four Corners region to share stories and have conversation about what water means to you and your communities. And so We Are Water, we are based out of the University of Colorado Boulder at a research cooperative for environmental science. And we partner with StarNet, with Claire and her team, and also with Indigenous scholars, Indigenous science educators, and also with Indigenous evaluators. And so we all work together to provide a variety of learning resources that are also culturally responsive. And so I also want to tell you about what World Water Day is. So the United Nations celebrates World Water Day every year on March 22nd. And so we thought we would host a regional celebration of World Water Day all March long to celebrate the importance of water, fresh water to our communities. Next slide, Claire. And so we really want to invite you and your patrons to this regional celebration of World Water Day with us. And so today we are going to tell you all about these really amazing free learning resources that are available for youth, families, and adults. And so I think we'll start with Claire, Brigida, and Anna. Will tell you all about all these amazing resources.
Thank you so much, Patty. So the next couple activities I'm going to be sharing with you are located on the StarNet STEM Activity Clearinghouse. So this is a clearinghouse of over 500 interactive and hands-on STEM activities curated specifically for libraries. So these are informal activities and they range for audiences from pre-K all the way through adult. So I highly recommend checking this out if you're looking for activities to do at your library. And we do have a collection called We Are Water that is specifically for this project. We've had some library advisors, and I see some of them are on our call today. So thank you so much for joining us if you're one of our We Are Water library advisors. But they've helped to kind of go through these activities and choose the ones that they think will work best in libraries and that will complement the We Are Water project. So the first activity I want to show you guys today is called a water cycle paper craft. So this is a great COVID-friendly activity that you can turn into a take and make activity for your patrons to take home to create themselves and learn about the water cycle. This is a youth activity geared for ages 8 to 12. But what I love about this activity is you can customize it for different age groups. There are several different templates. Some come with the labels, others come without the labels. So for older kids, you can challenge them, see if they can remember any of these vocabulary words. You can also print it in black and white, maybe send home some crayons with your patrons so they can color it in, or you can print it in full color. I do recommend that you print this in cardstock, just so it's a little more stable when they put it together. It is a 3D model at the end when they complete it. All of the instructions are included on the template. So all you have to do is print out that one template. The activity does have a tie-in to flash flood safety, which is very relevant to the Four Corners region. So if you want to make it place specific, I would recommend printing out the little card for flash flood information as well. It includes how to make a safety kit, how to look for signs of flash floods, and additional resources to learn about flash floods. But I did make a little model for you guys to see. This is a teeny tiny one. I just printed it at my home computer on 8.5 by 11 page, but it was still very easy to follow the instructions and fold it. It stands on its own. But the activity does recommend that you print it on a larger piece of paper and in cardstock as well, just so it's a little more sturdy. All of these activities and resources that we will be talking about are in a link bank. So you don't need to write all of these things down. It looks like Beatrice just dropped the link bank and some additional links in the chat. So feel free to click on that link bank, save it for later. It will have all the links to these activities. The next, this is an additional resource that I recommend partnering with this activity, the water cycle papercraft. It's a video created by Nova that I think goes really, really well with this activity, and it really rounds out the educational experience you can provide with this activity. So Nova created 3 amazing documentaries about water called H2O, the molecule that made us. There are 3 episodes that are in this documentary. One is Pulse, which talks about how water really became the essential force behind all life. The second episode is Civilization, which explores how water really shaped and created the first human civilizations. And finally, the third episode, Crisis, which goes into how our water cycle is actually changing due to all sorts of things. And it talks about how the changing water cycle and also how humans have profitized water is leading to some pretty scary stuff, but it does offer some solutions and really dives into that. So a way that you can make this take-home activity a little more educationally robust is to include the links, which is also the link to this documentary is in the link bank. But include that link in what you send home with the patrons so they can watch it at their own time, or consider making a virtual program kind of geared towards adults where you actually do a showing of these 3 documentaries with perhaps a discussion afterwards. The documentaries do require a Nova membership. Those are you can buy a membership for as little as $5 a month to get these really beautiful, amazing documentaries. The next activity I will showcase from our clearinghouse is called Radtown Uranium Activities. Now, this is actually a suite of activities that explore the history of uranium mining and how uranium mining, especially in the Four Corners region, has disproportionately affected Indigenous communities and still does to this day with how it can contaminate the underground water supply. I highly recommend activity number 6, which again is it is in that link bank if you would like to check it out later. But this is all about radiation cleanup and advocacy. You can turn this into a virtual program really easily by offering your patrons a screening of The Return to Navajo Boy, which is linked in the activity as well as in the link bank. But this is a documentary that won several awards. It won Best Documentary from the Indian Summer Film Festival, Programmer's Choice Award from the Planet in Focus Festival, the Audience Award from the Durango International Film Festival, and it was an official selection on the Sundance Film Festival. So consider making a virtual program where you screen this documentary. The activity comes with discussion questions included that you can end the documentary with. These discussion questions include what problems or concerns exist in your community related to radiation and radioactive waste? What has been done in your community to address those concerns? What still needs to be done to address those concerns? And what you as a community can do to raise awareness and take action. So our next activity is a brand new activity that we are really excited to be putting out there for you guys to consider doing at your library, but we're calling it a walk through time. So this is really a place-based exploration of your community and the Four Corners region and looking through history through photos. So right now I have 2 photos up here, one from 1957, one from 2005. This is a landmark in the Four Corners region. And I'm wondering if anyone could share in the chat if they know what this landmark is. This is familiar to anybody. Awesome. Trisha, you got it. Glen Canyon Dam. So on the left here, that is an image of Glen Canyon without the dam back in the 50s. And what you see on the right is the Glen Canyon Dam, which created Lake Powell, which is, of course, a big tourist spot. It's a big recreational destination. But of course, when you dam up a canyon, there will be all kinds of ecological and social impacts. So This is just one example of how you can open up a dialogue with your community about how human impacts and human interactions with our environment has changed our environment, and what types of impacts and lasting impacts that can have on our communities. So there are two versions of this activity, a walk through time. The first is a virtual photo gallery. So this is something, if you have a social media page or a website, you can easily start posting some photos and asking some questions for your community to respond to. So a great way to involve your community in creating this gallery is ask them to submit photos of their own. I know my family, I have a lot of big history buffs, and they save a lot of historical photos from the past. So you might be able to tap into that in your community. You can invite your community to share their own photos. You can connect with a local historical society, or of course, use open source photos from the web. The activity write-up for this lists several suggestions for how to get historical photos and how to get your patrons involved in an online discussion using photos. Now, if you're like many of us, you're getting a little bit burnt out with the screen, you want to get your patrons outside, there's also a version of this activity where you can do an outdoor history walk. So you do the same type of preparation where you invite your community to submit photos, reach out to a historical society, find photos online, but instead of posting it on your social media, consider posting it out on the library yard. So this activity includes discussion and activity prompts that you can include with each of your posts, and several different methods for displaying these photos, ranging from using little H displays just on yards like the photo here on the right, or how to even build your own structural display that you can put your displays on. Since these are new activities, these last two I talked about, we would love if you tried it to collect a little bit of patron feedback so we can continue tweaking this activity to be perfect for libraries. So the activity write-up does include a QR code and a link that you can print out and put either on the displays in the yard or include on your virtual photo galleries to collect a little bit of feedback. And now I'm going to turn it over to Brigida to talk about some of the free resources and activities that you are eligible to receive for this program.
All right, so I am very happy to be here, and thank you everybody for attending. As Claire mentioned, I am going to be talking about some of the free resources that you can request using the survey. I think it's both in the link bank and it's been posted in the chat as well. And so Claire, you can advance to the next slide. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is a take and make kit. And so the audience for this kit are youth. And what this is it's a kit, it's called Be a Water Detective. The kit, the theme of the kit is teaching kids about water quality in their communities. And so I've pulled a couple screenshots from the kit itself to kind of show you the fun colors and illustrations that are within the kit itself. But all of the information is contained in this single booklet. And the kit also provides pH strips and recycled paper strips for some of the activities in the booklet. So everything that you need, that patrons might need to do these activities in the booklet are provided with the kit itself. And the kit is split up into two main themes. The first one is going to be the more science heavy aspect of the kit. And so the goal of this portion of the kit is to teach students to make observations and then to build a story from those observations. And so the first part of that is going to be encouraging students to learn how to use pH strips by using liquids that are found in a home setting. And so they have the opportunity, we provide about 25 pH strips, so they have lots of opportunities to test lots of different liquids. And then once their students are feeling comfortable with the pH strips and reading kind of pH values from those strips, the next part of the activity is moving into sampling the pH of local water sources. And so this activity really gives students the freedom to design their own sampling plan. So We encourage students in this activity to, pick a water source they might be familiar with. It can be tap water at home, it could be tap water elsewhere, it could be a local pond, standing water. Really, it's up to the students to kind of use their imagination to go out and test the pH of a local water source. And then to end that activity, the students then have the opportunity to be able to share that data with the We Are Water team. And our plan is to post that data on our website so that people who are interested can kind of see how the pH of water differs in different locations. And then the second half of the booklet, you can see I have a couple pictures here, shifts into encouraging kind of a solution for dealing with water quality issues. And the way in which we frame this is by encouraging recycling of materials that might actually end up in a water source through the creation of art. And so the first art project that students can make is actually taking the pH strips that they used earlier in their science activity to make a really fun artwork. And this is just an image of one of our students in our test rounds created, and I think it's a really fun, unique image. And the second activity is for youth who are a little bit older, probably 10 plus in age, but with recycled paper strips, we have an activity in which students can learn to weave a basket. And so both of these activities kind of are encouraging students to think about how they can take things that they might think of as trash and turn it into something really beautiful. And the fun thing about this artwork is there's also an opportunity to submit images of their artwork to a We Are Water virtual art museum. And so we will be displaying submissions on our website. So Claire, you can advance to the next slide. So the next activity that you can request is a We Are Water coloring and activity book. And so these are, again, some screenshots from this coloring book, which include things like color by number, I Spy activities, and even just freeform coloring activities. And this can also, like the pH kit, be requested, and you will receive everything you need in the booklet. But we are also offering, if it's easier for you to print pages yourself, perhaps, or maybe print the booklet yourself, we will also provide links for you to be able to do that as well. So Claire, you can move forward. So now the third activity that I'm going to talk about is more for adult audiences. And so we are hosting a virtual book club about water in the Southwest. And for this month, the book is Beyond the 100th Meridian by Wallace Stegner. And this is, it kind of chronicles the John Wesley Powell's journey down the Colorado River. And all of the information about this book club and the materials that you might need can be found both on our Facebook page, which the link is provided here. It is also in the link bank. And I believe you can also request resources through the survey as well. On our Facebook page, we're going to be posting video summaries of the book. So I believe there are going to be 3 kind of summaries for 3 different sections of the book. As well and then we are also going to be hosting a Facebook Live event on March 18th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And this is going to be a conversation between Eric Gordon, who's been the moderator for our virtual book club events, and he's been really fantastic in facilitating discussions with these books. And then also Patty Limerick, who is a professor at the University of Colorado Boulder. And so they are going to be discussing this book on that event. And again, all of that information can be found on the Facebook page and through the links that we provided in the link bank. So Claire, you can advance. And so the last thing I want to touch on before I hand off speaking duties is that we are currently developing other resources that we are hoping to get libraries involved with. And so I just wanted to spend a brief moment summarizing some of these upcoming resources that we're developing. And so the first one is storytelling workshops. And so we are currently developing a series of these workshops that will target both youth audiences and adult audiences. And right now we have one of the workshops is looking like it's going to be a stop motion type storytelling workshop in which youth and adults can learn how to tell a story through kind of visual representation. And then another workshop may be kind of a more traditional storytelling type journey where maybe you create a vocal recording of a story or even perhaps a video. And so these workshops are still in development, but we want that to put them on your radar because they're going to be things that we're going to be offering in the coming months. The next thing that we are currently developing is a story walk. And the book in which we are developing a story walk for is called We Are Water Protectors. And this one actually just won the Jane Addams Children's Book Award. And we have been working with the author and the publisher. So we have copyright won't be an issue in terms of setting this up at libraries, but this is another activity that we're currently developing and hoping to kind of test out this summer. And the last and final thing that we want to touch on are these MOOC learning circles. And so MOOCs are massive open online courses. And the one we've designed for We Are Water centers around the science of water and climate in the Southwestern United States. And the beauty about MOOC is that we have created a bunch of different lectures with experts who talk about things ranging from politics, water rights, indigenous rights in the Four Corners and Southwestern region. And people can really kind of pick and choose which of these lectures they're interested in watching. And I think Anna may be able to correct me. I think there's something like 17 lectures in this MOOC that we've created, but this is another thing that we are hoping to kind of move forward out of development in the next couple months. So with that, I think I am passing off. Am I passing to Patty? Oh yeah.
Well, I can take this, Patty. I think you have the next couple, but we just threw a lot of resources at you guys, and I really appreciate all of the comments in the chat. And we would love to hear a little bit more in the chat from you. So of the resources and activities we just shared, which of these are you most excited about? And did this spark any ideas, new ideas for you for celebrating water in your community this spring? So I'll let you guys think a little and type, but we would love to hear from you. Which of these resources are you most excited about? Well, what I've seen so far in the chat is a few different comments on the book, the We Are Water Protectors. So it sounds like some of you have already bought this book for your collection at your library. And Trisha shared with us that it won a medal and a link to that. And it looks like Nicole is sharing the story walk and storytelling workshop. So things coming in the future. Angela is excited about them all. That is great to hear. Ravine says, I love the coloring book that we created. Nice artwork. And Cindy shared, there are two that would be of interest, and they are a walkthrough time in the children's activities. Great. Yeah, we always want to provide, oh, and also the cardboard cutout for the water cycle was also a favorite of some. And the water detectives is appealing. And great feedback from Chris. Book clubs don't do well out here and everyone is really zoomed out. But the coloring book is really great, and they all have potential. Yeah, it really is our goal to try to provide a plethora of different resources for you to choose from, because we all know not every library is the same in terms of resources and capacity, and also with the added complexity of what COVID has done with our mental capacities to sit through virtual stuff. We want to make sure that there's really a wide variety for you to choose what's best for your community and for your patrons. And Jenny mentioned the Radtown looks like a great reading activities, but the outdoor walk through history is amazing. I know the Mancos Library and Mancos Historical Society would both be excited to put on a walk. That is awesome. I love that you're already thinking about historical societies or partnerships within your community that you can tap into to make that a rich activity for your community. Well, this is all really great feedback already from you guys. I'm glad that some or all of these resources have caught your attention. You will have an opportunity at the end of this webinar. You'll be immediately directed to a survey where you can fill out some feedback for the webinar and choose which activities you would be interested in receiving for free from us. We would ship it out to you guys, such as the coloring book or any other resources like that. So you'll have an opportunity to actually choose the resources that you're most excited about to receive. And with that, I'm going to pass it on over to Patty to talk about just how you get those free World Water Day learning resources.
Oh, thanks so much, Claire. Yeah, and thank you all who are attending this webinar for thinking that the learning resources that we've created are awesome and exciting. We really wanted to provide a menu of all different kinds of things that you could provide to patrons of different ages, and that could, fit all the different types of contexts that you are experiencing in your libraries and communities. So how do you get all of these free World Water Day learning resources? As Claire mentioned, if you complete the survey that has been dropped into the chat by Beatrice and by Claire, if you complete that survey, you'll see questions that ask you about this webinar, what you thought, and also questions about which activities would you like to receive. And when you select those, I'll be receiving that information. So I'll be able to see if you wanted the Be a Water Detective Take and Make Kit, or a link to remind you where the walkthrough time activities located in the StarNet Clearinghouse, and any of those. So if you complete that survey, that would be amazing. And thank you, Beatrice, for putting that link again in the chat. And so, yeah, so you'll complete that survey and you'll receive a confirmation email from me, Patty Montano, about your selections, and I'll provide in that confirmation email when you can expect to receive those materials and which materials are available for download on our We Are Water website or through the We Are Water StarNet Clearinghouse. Next slide, Claire. And as Brigitte and Claire have said over the course of this webinar, so you can contact us at We Are Water and also follow us on social media. So you can email me directly at wearewater@colorado.edu. You can also look at our website, wearewater.colorado.edu. And that's where we'll have a couple of links to some things that you've seen today, and also some new stuff like podcasts and videos showing the stories about what water means to people across the Four Corners region. And then you can also please follow us on social media. We are on Facebook and on Twitter at We Are Water SW. And the virtual book club, all the video summaries and the Facebook Live event are through our Facebook page at We Are Water SW.
Awesome. So we'll open up this time for any questions. I do want to put in one plug. If you would like to receive more information like this in the future, please sign up for the We Are Water newsletter. A link to sign up is in the link bank. That will help you stay in touch with what we're doing, new resources that we're offering, and any future webinars such as this. But we are done a bit early, so we'll hang around if anyone has any questions. And just a reminder, when you click leave meeting, you should be automatically directed to a survey. So we'll give you back some of this time to fill out the survey and a little bit more time back in your day. But we'll stick around if anyone has any questions. Thank you so much for joining us today. Oh, and thanks. Beatrice just dropped a certificate of attendance in the chat. So if any of you want proof that you attended a PD session today, click on that and you can print that out and you'll have a certificate of attendance for being here today with us. Thanks, Trisha. She says, be well. Thanks, Snow. Great question. Philippa asked, will we have access to the recording and the chat? Yes. So in the link bank, there is a link to the recording. It should be posted in about a day or two. That will include the recording, the chat, as well as the slides. Awesome, and thank you everyone for the kind words in the chat. And Anna is reminding everyone, please tell other libraries across the region about our project. If you know of any other librarians or colleagues that would be interested in receiving these materials or learning more about it, feel free to give them the link bank and feel free to send them the recording from the link bank as well. And no worry, Angela said she may have filled the survey out twice. That is totally fine. We'll be able to catch that. Another side note, all of our contact information is on the link bank. So if any other questions come up or you're wanting to reach out about anything water related, feel free to reach out to any of us listed on the link bank. All right, and I think we'll stick around for 2 more minutes for any questions. And you are very welcome, Chris. Thank you for coming and learning about these resources. And have a great day. Thanks, Beatrice. One last time, she dropped all of the links into the chat. Okay, well, project team, thank you so much. It looks like the questions and comments have come to a stop in the chat. So I think I'm gonna sign off, but you guys did a great job. So thank you so much.